And so today I want to introduce you to an author. He is so much more than an author. I'm going to have him introduce himself and tell you about all the wonderful things he's doing. I'm so excited because I just got done reading his book. And the name of his book is Call of the Dragon, Behold the Pleroma. Now this book is so deep. It's so intriguing until I think everyone should read it because there are stories in here that you are not going to believe. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my guest, Kurt A. Hill Sr. Yay, Kurt! Okay, Kurt, so tell us all of these wonderful things that you do because they need to know. I wouldn't have even believed that one person could embody so many different titles. Okay, go ahead, introduce yourself.
When you said somebody special, I was looking around to see who that was, quite frankly. So I am a holistic healer, and I practice advanced psychosomatic character therapy. I am degreed. I have a master's in divinity, and I have a master's in clinical mental health. I am also a licensed massage therapist. I do craniosacral therapy, which is an energy-based therapy. I've studied in China and Japan vibrational medicine and energy modalities and healing. I've also studied and performed medical qigong. And so my modalities are of an alternative nature, which is not in contrast, but in complement to allopathic medicine. Now, allopathic medicine, I knew you could.
Yes,
But I said it.
Explain it to us like
Absolutely.
we are just from outer space or something.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe if we're out of space, we probably understand it.
That's
Explain it to us.
Allopathic medicine is mainstream medicine, pharmaceutical medicine. The medicine that we practice, the healing that we practice, as alternative as it may be, Einstein had much to elucidate about it. For instance, he believed that imagination gives shape, form, and color to unformed mental energy. And in his theories of quantum physics, what he did was explain that when you believe something and you can visualize it, it is actualized. Now that is just not his theory. The African people believed that in their methodology. Mbiti, the philosopher, talks a great deal about that as well. Yes.
You know what we call it? In the Baptist, we call it faith.
Call it faith. Hey, I'll go with faith.
We call it having an amount of faith and trust in God, who is the highest power there is.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who need it broken down just a little bit more, that's how I interpret it. And it's like pretty much what you're saying. Now, what I want to do is I want to go back to, you said a
craniosacral therapy.
I want you to explain that to us. But first, wait a minute. What time is it? Does anybody know what time it is?
Audrey Kay,
Yes, Daphne.
it's time for the big question.
The big question? Oh my. What do you have for us today, Daphne? What is your big question?
Does God give anyone, saint or sinner, the power to heal?
Wow, great question, Daphne. She always comes up with so many great questions. And those questions are for our guests.
Oh, they're for our guests.
Surprise! Surprise!
And when are they coming on?
And you too.
And me too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Does God give anyone the power to heal, saint or sinner? I'd like for you to elucidate on that.
Okay, absolutely. My answer would be God grants the ability to use us for God's bidding.
Okay.
And if God decides through love to heal, then healing will take place. So we, the healer, would be like a hollow bone, and the energy of God, the Holy Spirit, comes through the bone and into the presence or anatomy of those who are intended to heal. So it is granted. In fact, no man has the ability to heal. It is to direct the power of God.
Okay, so do you believe that a saint or a sinner can do this?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Because a lot of people want to believe that if I'm holy enough, then God will work through me. And you're saying that God will work through who he will work through,
Absolutely.
which makes sense, because what if you're in a prison and you've gone to prison for some evil deed that you've done, but God needs to put somebody there
Absolutely.
and still work the healing through it. Okay, so we have it here from Kurt Hill. I want to call you doctor, and you said that you're not, but you have so many initials behind your name.
Yes, I do.
don't see
Yes.
why you're not a doctor. In my book, you are. But Kurt, I want to get back around to, because
Sure.
I have so much I want to talk to you guys about this book, Call of the Dragon, Behold the Pleroma. It is so good. So I want to really get into this book after we find out a little bit more about exactly what you do and how you work. Now, I was interrupted with a big question, but I'm going to come right back around, and I want you to talk about that cranial.
Sacral therapy, yes.
Okay, yes, because I find that interesting.
It is interesting, quite frankly. Craniosacral therapy is using the brain in its position to send charges, energetic charges, down through the body from head to toe.
Now, has this been proven?
Yeah, it's actually a discipline.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you something. Call it craniosacral,
Okay.
call it energy medicine.
Okay.
But you know what it really is?
What is it?
Grace.
Oh, okay. So we got faith and grace on the
Absolutely.
map. Okay.
That's
hey,
right.
I
It's getting
understand
crowded
that.
up here, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it's grace.
Yeah, you're
So-
sending the power of energy through a person, but it's it's a signature.
Okay.
And so there's an area of the brain called the middle brain, or diencephalon of the brain, or sometimes referred to as the limbic system, that gets activated. But in actuality, the energy that's finding its way through the individual in need of assistance, anxiety, stress, epilepsy, problems with the nervous system, or just in general other problems. Craniosacral has been utilized for quite some time, and it is a discipline.
Isn't it amazing, Kurt, how the spiritual, the psychological, and the scientific, they work hand in hand.
Without
God
question.
just uses
Yes.
all of this. We are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes,
And
I love that.
it's so amazing how all of this works together, and one should not, the truth is the truth. And one truth that's scientific should not demean another truth that's psychological.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes,
yes.
that's God at work.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
God at work.
It's in a holistic modality, which is what I practice. Body, mind, and spirit is not separate, but distinguished. So,
Not separate but distinguished.
yes,
Love that. I do. I love that.
yes. So when I'm working on your body, I'm also working on your mind and your soul.
Wow.
Yes, because you are what you believe.
Now that seems like that can be dangerous in the wrong hands.
Oh, indubitably. It can be dangerous in the wrong hands.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you aren't granted the love of God if you have ill intentions. That's the difference between a healer and a sorcerer. Sorcerer has malintentions and only wants what they want. This is a demonstration. It's
Very selfish and-
selfish, yeah,
and-
personally oriented or whatever. But the gift of healing is without judgment. It is given and granted to the individual. And one asks permission, and so as not to intrude.
Okay. So what should a person who wants to experience this holistic healing, is there something you can tell us if we were to encounter someone, just say that was a false healer or you call it a sorcerer, versus someone that is truly, they're getting their energies and their information from the Holy God? Is there something, because it can be kind of tricky in there, because as you know, and the devil is a liar, so so he can easily portray himself to be something that he's not, a wolf in sheep's clothing.
I understand exactly. The we were granted this by the Son of God. Go and heal. What's done is done in love and through humility. You had mentioned earlier in your prolegomenon, you said, you have a lot of letters behind your name. Well, the privilege of working with another, of asking to take an unearned intimacy into your intimate space requires a lifelong stewardship and a humility. And doing the truth in love requires a connection with the God you speak of. And so it is revealed in the process.
Oh, this is so good. This is so beautiful. Now, what kind of people would come into your office? What kind of people would seek out the services of Kurt Heal?
That's a good question. Now, I've been doing this for about 30 years, and the people who've come in are people with heart conditions, with brain tumors, with all sorts of afflictions. In some cases where pharmaceutical medicine has failed to provide them with the relief they're looking for. I'll give you an example. Most recently, an test was done. Bruce Lipton, who has studied energy medicine and vibrational concerns, has a video regarding belief systems and how one can change. And there's a video about this woman who's going in the hospital for a brain tumor in Germany. Now, it's clear through an MRI that she has a brain tumor, unequivocally. They
proven.
Shave her head. It's proven. They shave her head. They prep her. The anesthesiologist comes into the room, injects her with a solution, whatever the medication is, to numb her and put her to sleep so that she won't feel any of the operation, of course, because they have to cut in the head. So so it had the soporific effect that it needed, right? And so she realized as she drifted off, they brought her into the operating room, and she had on like a cone-shaped collar so they could work on her bald cranial, right? And so as she dozed off, these three individuals came into the room, and they stayed there for about 3 hours. When she awakened, she was in intensive care. And they showed her her new MRI, and there was nothing there. And she was thanking the doctors and giving them all sorts of encomiums and accolades. And they stopped, and they said, well, we want to bring in a psychologist. And she said, why did you take part of my brain? And he said, no, you need to talk to a psychologist. And he came in and he said, the reason they called me in, I just want you to relax, because there was no operation.
Oh my
she said,
God.
what are you talking about?
Oh my God.
She said, those three people that came in, they gave me he said, he gave you a placebo, a simple solution.
Oh my
and you
God.
believed it worked, so you went to sleep. The people that worked on your head were simply massage therapists.
Oh, wow.
Rubbing the spot. There was no trace whatsoever. The conclusion was that what you believe, you can alter.
What are you believing? What are we believing? This is so powerful. Somebody needs to get this, and how it can actually shape your life. How it can call healing
Absolutely.
into your bones, into your into your essence. That is a powerful story.
Yes.
You know what? And that is a good segue into this book that I'm so excited to get to. Tell us the story about your, was it in Mexico?
Yes, yes, it was. Sierra Nevada.
Yeah, you took a trip. Somebody called you for this event. Okay, tell us about that.
You know, I like the fact that you chose the word event. Baudot talks in terms of an event as something that's non-repeatable. It is the event that shapes history and changes. Now, we know that time, as we know it, is a historical manifestation of existence. Therefore, past, present, and future exist simultaneously. So when an event occurs, you are standing in now, which is time that is distinguishing past, present, and future. That's where I was in this amazing phenomenological situation where, in a dream initially, a shaman with the Huichol Indians had contacted me in the shape of a wolf, and which was a weird dream. You know, why am I dreaming about animals? And this wolf was beckoning me and beckoning me. 2 or 3 days later, I got a call from a Dr. Casey Carter, who said, listen, I don't want to bother you, and I know you're busy, and I know your patient load is enormous. Would you consider taking a trip to Mexico, because a shaman who happens to be quite renowned has summoned you? And I said, really, what's his name? And she said, his name is Don Lupe. And I said, Lupe, that's Spanish for wolf.
Wow.
And she said, yes, it is. Why do you say that? And I said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. So I asked her, I said, tell me something about it. I've been through Mexico. I'm well traveled, but that particular part of Mexico I'm not familiar with. I said, is there something I should bring? Where will we be staying? She said, well, it's not exactly the Holiday Inn. And that's all she told me. So I hop on a plane and meet her at a middle space, and we head over there together, and we have to travel a bit once the plane landed, because they're up in an area that was quite primitive.
Now, I don't want to interrupt you, but I got to ask this question. So did this Don Lupe, did he know you? Did you know him?
I'd never met the man, ever.
And how many days did you have this dream about this wolf?
It was about a week before I took the trip, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Before I took the trip.
And was it one dream, 2 dreams?
At least about 2 or 3 dreams. It was a recurring dream. When you get recurring dreams in psychology, there's usually a message, and it's beyond the dream.
Okay.
You know, so it was quite curious, and I couldn't shake the feeling. And as I said to my beloved, to Sarah, I said, I'm being called. I'm being called, and I don't know yet what it all means. But
so if you have a recurring dream and you have a sense that this means something, then we should pay attention. And with you, what happened is a couple of weeks later or a week later is when you got the call from Casey, who told you about this guy, Don Lupe. I'm going to say
absolutely.
Wolf.
No.
Wolf. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're over there and you're in Mexico, and what did you find when you got there?
Okay, very important. So just to build on what you said about dreams and how important they are, Schopenhauer has a theory, the Schopenhauerian mirror, which says unconsciousness uses consciousness as a mirror to see itself.